If you speak to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you speak to a man in his own language, that goes to his heart. Those words are by Nelson Mandela. And I think there's a profound truth to Mr. Mandela's words. When you consider so many of the problems we're having in society these days, there seem to be miscommunications between different kinds of people who live very different kinds of lives. When you think about migrants and immigrants and refugees, a lot of the pushback against them seems to be they're not making society better, they're not integrating, they're not even learning the language. That's like a common critique. American conservatives who think there are too many Mexicans in the United States will say they're not even learning English. Speak English will become the Donald Trump rallying cry. Meanwhile, the same thing is happening in Mexico with all the American tourists and expats who are moving there and not even bothering to learn Spanish. Go home, gringo. Stop speaking English. Learn Spanish. And so, I'm not here to judge these statements. I'm not here to say it's right or wrong to think this way or to expect this. All I'm here to say is that, we often think of learning languages as a way to be understood, yes, but we think of languages as tools. We think, okay, I'm going somewhere and they can't understand me when I speak English, therefore I'm going to learn German. But if we don't speak the German, or if the German person speaks English, we think, oh, then I don't need to learn German, right? Because we have another tool for that job. But the point about speaking someone's own language, going directly to the heart, where's my heart? The heart. I'm like pointing to my collarbone, directly to the collarbone. The point about it going directly to the heart would seem to indicate that a language is not just a tool. It is it's something more, in some sense, it's something more romantic than a tool, or at least something more alive. It's something that can soften someone's cold exterior, right? The same person. And I'll give an example from today. I was just ordering. I went to this Vietnamese restaurant, and I got one of my favorite drinks during a heat wave like we've been having, which is a Vietnamese iced coffee. In Vietnamese, you say "café sua da." Café sua da. Cafe, they spell it C-A-P-H-E, but like cafe, coffee. Sua da. Anyway, it's been a while since I've remembered all the words for the different types of coffee in Vietnam, but I do remember Café Sua Da because this is always my favorite. I've ordered it in Vietnam, I've ordered it in Canada, I've ordered it all over the place. And the Vietnamese woman at the restaurant, I mean, I'm not saying she looked like, she definitely didn't look like upset at me or anything, but she had a very neutral face when I came in there. But then as soon as I asked for a Café Sua Da, her eyes kind of lit up and she had this moment of like, oh, look at this guy, he knows how to say it like the Vietnamese. And then as she was making it, she was like, so, do you like Vietnamese iced coffee? And then next thing you know, I'm making friends with the auntie at my local Vietnamese iced coffee place. Because I communicated not only to her mind, but to her heart. I showed an interest in her culture, her way of communicating, the language of her people, you could say, that was beyond the necessity for that interaction. And in so doing, I showed myself to be someone who showed respect for her and her food and where it comes from and its traditions. And even if she's not thinking about that in the moment, I think that it's there at a deeper level. It's like, oh, it's there. And I think of the situation Montreal is in. I live in Montreal, in case anyone just randomly stumbles on this video. I make a lot of videos about Montreal, and it's a city that in many senses is bilingual, French and English. Most people speak French, but functionally this is a bilingual city. There's plenty of English speakers here too. And conversations sometimes flow back and forth. When it works, it's a beautiful thing, but when it doesn't work, you get feelings of, particularly I believe amongst French speakers, who feel that English speakers come here and don't make efforts to integrate at all. And it's not just communication. It's about respect and in some sense admiration, that deeper speaking to the heart, right? If I go to like some restaurant in Montreal in a particularly French-speaking part of the city, and I see someone who's speaking French with her coworkers, and I'm like, I don't feel like speaking French, I'm just gonna order my food in English and not even say bonjour, like comment ça va, like not even like share a couple words in French, then she might understand me, she might speak English. But the problem is, it's not only am I forcing her to her second language, but I am avoiding this whole heart level of communication, and I'm keeping it here. And that is going to automatically put people kind of on guard, or not on guard's not the right way to phrase it. Well, sometimes some people might get like disrespected and immediately be like, oh, I don't like this person. But it's just, if I don't make an effort to speak French and I only speak English, well then I'm not going to exist in those people's world. I'm going to be someone to that waitress in that hypothetical restaurant. I'm someone to serve and then say goodbye to, and then he's gone. But if I speak French, particularly if I show that French is not my dominant language, like I'm making an effort to meet you where you are, to speak to your heart. No longer am I this stranger just quickly passing by your life. Like I'm someone who can actually be known. Like I'm putting myself out there. And I think whether you're an immigrant to a new country, whether you're a tourist visiting somewhere for a week, I think it's worth considering that the effort you put into learning the local language is not only for the tool, like I need a different kind of screwdriver to unscrew this door. I need a different language to unscrew this. Ordering food at the bakery in Germany, I need to learn a little bit of German, But like on a deeper level, it's how you're interacting with those people. Not just how you perceive them, but how they perceive you. And for better or worse, like you kind of are representing your identity when you are abroad, I wish it wasn't like this, but like at the end of the day, people generalize, and like if I'm in Japan and I act like a fool in some small town, people in that town might think, oh, these white guys, like, what are they doing? They're just causing trouble. They're just, disrespecting our culture. But if I show respect and learn some of the language, I'm going to make people who otherwise might have never seen someone like me be like, hey, remember that guy who came to visit? He was cool. It makes a ripple effect. It makes a ripple effect. And listen, I know it's hard. I am not naturally good at learning languages. And I get reminded of that all the time. I mean, I get reminded of that in the comments of YouTube videos. I get reminded of that in real life. I mean, I just visited Tijuana, Mexico, and I was calling it Tijuana the whole time. I put an A, Tijuana, instead of Tijuana. I always thought it was Tijuana. I don't know why. I just heard it as Tijuana. Yeah, just one of those silly mistakes, and I said that over and over in that video. And my punishment for my sins will be 100 comments reminding me how silly I am. And I'm not saying those people are right either. I'm not saying it's right to insult people or belittle people if you feel they're not speaking to your heart. I just like to explain to you that if you feel like your interactions are not going well, or you just feel like you want to have deeper connections with people around you, try learning their language, even just a little bit, even just a few words. It might take you further than you think.